Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So today we have some more Gamergate related updates, and again, my apologies for the lack of a VTuber model. I am currently in my last day at WeebCon, and I will be returning to my functional PC tomorrow, where you'll once again see my beautiful VTuber model on display. Now, recently there's been a lot of conversation about Microsoft, who was recently exposed for urging developers to not create female characters with exaggerated body proportions or curvy figures. Now, this has led a lot of people to look at other employees at Xbox, including this individual named Kelly, who is the global games marketing person here for Xbox, and you can see their account is currently private because they've been getting backlash for this stinker they made a few days ago. A tweet stating, "Raise your hand if you're not a white man and you buy video games. No hate to white dudes. It's just another day in the gaming industry that minorities have to fight to prove they exist." Ah yes, another inflammatory and divisive tweet made by someone in the gaming industry when they could have simply stated generally about gamers without having to single out people based on the color of their skin or their gender. Now, of course, this talk about an Xbox employee has raised some other related conversations about other members of Xbox and their greater business, and this has to do with Compulsion Games. We've talked about this account before. They are an Xbox studio based in Montreal, and they are working on the game South of Midnight. Now, we saw one of their previous tweets. We covered this in a video a few weeks ago where they made some very, let's just say, woke tweets here, stating that many video games are the product of the times they were created in. As we look to recreate and remaster these stories for modern audiences, it's important to consider the implications of these harmful portrayals and do our part to rewrite new history, not repeat it. That's right. You need to rewrite problematic themes out of stories. That's the job of someone working under the wing of Xbox. Well, probably does no surprise to you to find out that Compulsion Games is a Sweet Baby Inc. client. Now, moving forward, you can see Mark Kern here saying the community manager at Compulsion Games, the studio that race swapped their MC after Sweet Baby Inc. involvement, says she hates gamers and says Asians are white adjacent. Now, that's some pretty crazy things. Now, we've covered some of this, but there's some new tweets coming from this community manager at Compulsion Games named Pika. Let's see some of her greatest hits. This first one sharing that she's proud to announce that she is working as their community manager, right next to a tweet saying Asian and white, aka white adjacent. That's a very odd thing to say, to call Asian people white adjacent, but let's continue through some of her more great hits here. Another one saying, "Honestly, I hate gamers." That's odd for someone working in this field. Here's another one saying, "White male gamers were a mistake." And here's another one. You might have noticed every single screenshot, there's a different profile picture. The only thing more erratic than her tweets is her profile pictures that seem to change every single week. But nonetheless, here's another tweet quoting someone talking about the scum of the industry and the terrible people in the video game industry, where she says, "We also need to be very honest about the elephant in the room. The majority of the perpetrators are white/white adjacent cishet men. I gotta ask, what the F is wrong with y'all?" And of course, based on her previous tweets, that's not just white people, that's white adjacent people like Asians, and I don't know, maybe Hispanic people as well. Who knows? We're gonna have to wait for Katie to clarify what she means by white adjacent on the greater scheme of all the races. But moving forward, of course, she has another profile picture change and a private of her account once she was facing criticism for these recent and historical tweets from her account. Now, you may be asking yourself, what's going on here? Why are all these woke people in the games industry so aggressively racist? Why are these people making such bold claims and divisive claims, separating gamers based on their skin, trying to put them in different categories and demonize some people based on the color of their skin? It's very concerning. Well, a lot of it has to do with the fact that organizations like this, Black Girl Gamers, have existed for a long time with no question. Now, this is, of course, a group that only allows women of color to be in this organization. Now, of course, the very easy way to point out the hypocrisy here is to ask yourself, would they tolerate a group called White Boy Gamers? I don't think so. But there's been a lot of controversy with this group recently because people are talking about this and saying, well, do they allow, let's say, a white person to join their business? Well, things got very interesting when Black Girl Gamers made this viral tweet stating, "We're addressing the recent allegations published on thatparkplace.com about discriminatory hiring practices within Black Girl Gamers. These claims are false and were made without prior fact-checking or verification from us or our representatives." Part 1 out of 8. Now, of course, this entire tweet is the Streisand effect, okay? It's just like the Sweet Baby Inc. detected Steam group that went from a small group to a massive group because people in the games industry complained about it. And that's the same case with this website and its article. They're complaining about an article probably very few people would have seen in the first place, and now it's been exposed with a direct link to 2.2 million viewers. And of course, now more people are checking out this article than they ever would have before this thread was made. But continuing on, I mean, what kind of crazy allegations are they making up? The name of your organization is Black Girl Gamers. I think it's pretty obvious who you're going to hire in your organization, not to mention the fact that on their official website, they mention that they're 100% minority operated. And as many other people have pointed out, that might be illegal. And continuing forward, they have said this in the same thread: "Upon discovering these false and defamatory allegations, we have taken steps to obtain legal counsel to take action against the publication and journalist, as well as subsequent content creators who have reshared the false allegations about our organization." Ooh, very scary stuff. Now, likely this is a bluff to scare people because what exactly are they saying that's so defamatory, and why would you spread their message while saying it's harmful? Makes no sense. But you see someone like Legal Mindset, an actual attorney, weighing in on the situation saying, "The most insane thing here is that the company in question has likely made statements about other parties that are closer to defamation than those of the news outlet. There is zero chance this hits the actual malice standard for defamation. And beyond that, opening up that particular company to discovery may yield some dirty laundry that they do not want to come to light." And of course, he is referring to Black Girl Gamers because if they get involved in this situation, many products of their work will be exposed. That includes things like some of their files, their emails, their communications, things that they probably don't want to see come out in a court case and potentially go public. Now, moving forward, we saw a lot of people starting to defend Black Girl Gamers, and we'll also cover a lot of the backlash, but we have this quote with the replies turned off as per usual, saying, "It's incredibly telling that the quote tweets are once again full of knuckle-dragging, bigoted white men. Sorry, in quotes, real gamers who do nothing but try to fight progress in the gaming space. It's pathetic. BGG don't owe anyone any kind of statement or apology," as you quote retweet their 8-part public statement that they voluntarily made. Interesting. Here's another one saying, "Once again, it is the white and non-black side of gaming that insists on erasing the work that black orgs such as BGG have done to create a safer and diverse environment." Interesting. Creating a safer and more diverse environment by dividing people based on the color of their skin. Amazing. And once again, with the replies turned off. But of course, there were other people, including black people, who would disagree with this entire notion that Black Girl Gamers is trying to push. This person, a very interesting person, saying, "As a former Black Girl Gamers member, I can confidently say these people are full of crap. They do not care about diversity. They promptly kicked me out for being anti-black, aka not making an idol out of my skin color and refusing to hate white people." Now, you can probably understand how this went. So you have a black person speaking out against Black Girl Gamers, and you had people coming out of the woodwork, the so-called progressives, just absolutely being toxic and disgusting towards this former member of that organization. And it got so bad that actually Black Girl Gamers would release a 33-part thread with the replies turned off, saying, first off, we want to thank you for all the outpour and support. It's truly heartwarming to see our work has touched people from all backgrounds and had an impact. And eventually this would lead to an entire thread dismantling their former employee and throwing them under the bus. And now, I don't want to fry our brain cells with this long thread, but to sum it up very quickly, they basically make themselves look like a bunch of teenagers. It's very petty stuff. It doesn't make them look good. And having a 33-part thread to do it makes things a lot worse. But moving forward, we see some more quotes or separate tweets like this on the same subject saying, white people have spent years making sure we aren't welcome in their spaces, willing to fight, pass laws, and die to make sure black folks don't sit at the table. But when we build our own table from the ground up, y'all suddenly want a seat like you're entitled to it. Replies turned off again. So basically, I hate to spoil the party here, but I don't think anyone on Twitter talking about the situation wants to join Black Girl Gamers. I don't think that's the point. I don't think it's a point of jealousy. I think the simple point that they're making is that there shouldn't be a group of gamers or a company or developers that is only hiring people based on the color of their skin. People have a problem with that. And this idea of this insane scenario, this headcanon about people passing laws and dying to make sure that these things aren't happening, that black people aren't included in the gaming sphere, is absolute hysteria that you can only find on twitter.com. But continuing on here, we have another user, seemingly a person of color here, saying, I really hate talking about this, I really effing do, but white people aren't excluding black people / people of color from geek culture. Nerd / geek culture has never systematically pushed minorities out. Now you see a lot of support, but of course you have someone here speaking out against Black Girl Gamers and those like them. And what happens? Well, of course, they're thrown under the bus. You see quotes like this saying, disrespectfully, shut the F up. Yo mama should have throat gargled you. And this one saying, I ain't seen tap dancing this hard since Bojangles, which, in case you don't know what that is a black actor from about a century ago who was considered by some to be an Uncle Tom, someone who was doing everything in their power to appease the white man. It is obviously a very disgusting thing to call a black person or a person of color. But moving on, when these people would attack a black person for speaking out against this entire situation, we would have a white person here coming in to basically give their 2 cents while also trying to say that they're passing the torch on, saying, gaming has a serious racism and white supremacy problem. It has been used as a recruiting tool for the alt-rights and has only become worse over the years. We, white people, have an obligation to stand up against it and push it back whenever we see it. Now, there is definitely nothing more pathetic of a genre of Twitter users than people who are self-hating, especially on characteristics they have absolutely no control over, like the color of your skin. It's very bizarre stuff, and it's becoming increasingly popular. And of course, when this person was told that they were wrong with these opinions and also told to stop speaking up on the behalf of the people they're attempting to defend, they would, of course, private their account, which is not very surprising. But moving forward, we'd see more people like Elon Musk even weighing in on the situation, saying it should not be acceptable for any company in the gaming industry to be racist and sexist against white guys. Now, we get this very interesting quote from Niche Gamer saying this. While we do agree with the base sentiment of gaming companies overplaying their hands per se, unfortunately, we can't cover this particular story or more stories like it without potentially getting punished by the PR firms hired by those same game companies who we have to rely on to get access to video games for review and coverage purposes, ranging from smaller devs to mid-size operations to even AAA game companies, publishers alike. Because a lot of those same PR people support the people who hold these similar views, like what Elon is referring to. We were already having significant issues and experiencing roadblocks regarding getting access to AAA titles because we have covered these Sweet Baby Inc. stories alone. It's quite unfortunate. And you can see how impactful all of this is and the pressure it puts on outlets to basically accept the general narrative that is being expressed by these people in the games industry. Now, why did these things happen? Well, as this tweet points out, paying attention yet? Personal ESG scores are a social credit system of tyranny based on ESG, fraud, and arbitrary power. Now, let's read these snippets from this article. So, do I have an ESG score? You may know all about your credit score, but an individual ESG score is still rather new. Many mainstream financial institutions are creating a new platform that is centered on ESG scores. In addition to creating this platform, their lending guidelines are also getting an update that includes new rules that will tie your individual ESG score to your ability to secure lending. Down here it says, on a personal level, just as much information is used to create a picture of who you are and how your personal actions influence the world around you. Buying a gun, alcohol, or even clothing will affect your overall ESG score. Not only will your purchases matter, but who you purchase from and how they do business. See how this whole ESG thing is extending way beyond just gaming. It's going into financing and personal financial decisions. This is absolutely crazy. This is something straight out of China currently, okay? But moving on and concluding this video with these thoughts, obviously the Gamergate situation continues on. Very, very toxic and really head-scratching situation, and the lengths that people will go to defend some of these very, very concerning practices in the gaming industry. And we're seeing a lot of people continue to go mask off. But, of course, people are calling this out, and we're bringing more attention to these things. So hopefully we can get some positive change moving forward. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys listening, even without the VTuber model. And as always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys next time.